Nangong Yu's kit is a lot. Like, they basically handed us a Yu-Gi-Oh card and said, good luck with a full page of text. It's dense, it's easy to misread, and because of that, a lot of people who don't watch guides are completely underrating what she actually does. Most players see the stun tag and move on, but that's a big mistake. Nangong Yu isn't just another stun agent. She's doing way more under the surface, and if you're not paying attention, you're missing one of the most impactful kits we've gotten in a while. So I went through everything, cleaned it up, tested it, and broke it down into something that actually makes sense. In this guide, I'm going to show you how Nangong Yu really works, how to play her properly, and why she's not just a stunner, she's enabling an entirely different way to run Anomaly teams. Let's talk about it. Because the devs decided to give Nangong Yu a Yu-Gi-Oh card description worth of text, I think the best way to start this guide is by breaking down her core mechanics first. She has interesting mechanics that essentially turn her stun mode on and off, and give her access to new or enhanced moves by fulfilling conditions. After that, we'll jump into the combos and strings that she has, as well as how to play her in a more general sense. At the front of Nangong's core passive, she gains 120 anomaly proficiency for free. Then when her initial anomaly mastery is above 110, her impact will increase by 1 for each number above that. She then converts that anomaly mastery directly into impact, so the more mastery you have, the more impact she gains. And the more impact she gains means you stun the bad guy faster. As I mentioned before, Nangong is basically both a stun and anomaly agent, so an initial boost like this from her core passive is perfect. Keep in mind that AP can be built up through substats, but AM cannot. This is what makes particular W engine choices important, since the only other way to get AM from your builds is through AM6 and disk drive effects. Also, it's important to understand that anomaly damage is split between whoever contributes to the anomaly gauge. So if, for instance, your Nangong's AP is weak, then her damage contribution will be mediocre. If you're playing another ether agent on the team, Nangong's weaker AP will also dilute the damage of corruption, making the final pop of damage weaker than if your DPS completely filled the bar on their own. For a clean example of this, we can take two different visuals. On the left is just Nangong filling up the ether anomaly gauge by herself. On the right is a combination of Nangong and Vivian. In a typical team comp, you won't have to deal with this unless there is another ether agent on the team. In the case of Arya and Nangong, just make sure their AP is over 330 apiece and the diluting problem won't be worth worrying about. The next part of her core passive is Vibrato. Whenever an enemy is stunned, if they take damage from an Abloom, Disorder, or Attribute Anomaly, the enemy gains a stack of Vibrato. This maxes out at 4 and can't be reapplied until they enter a new stun phase. Maxing out Vibrato happens naturally on any Anomaly team, and this is where Nangong does her big pop of damage. Now, I'm not doing the Anomaly breakdown again like I did in my previous guide, but just know that high Anomaly damage equals high Abloom damage. Nangong also increases the initial Abloom damage by 100% at max stacks, so you want to do this all the time. And then after Vibrato is her incredible buffing rate after hitting an enemy with her charged basic or EX skill. This is where she's going to increase her anomaly buildup rate by 35%, her days dealt jumps up by 20%, and she gives all squad members a 25% damage amp for 30 seconds. So because of the way that you play Nangong, this buff is basically permanent. The final bit is her signature meter, referred to as down beats. She gains a few of these per second, but you really want to focus on building them through attribute anomalies, since she gains 12 of them per pop and she can hold up to 100. With the core passive out of the way, we can focus on her basic attacks and skills, which is always a 3-string combo regardless of doing the charged or standard versions. You'll rarely use the uncharged versions, but when you do, it's nice to know her BA3 is fully invulnerable while she's airborne, and you can do a shortcut directly in a BA2 after a dash attack. But BA2 is so short that honestly, you're just running into BA3. Like, I promise you, it's a shortcut into BA3. You'll barely even notice you're doing BA2. That's how fast it is. So Nangong's general game plan is pretty simple. Build up to 100 down beats, then flow straight into her level 2 and level 3 charge attacks. Now technically, you can just hold the button to ensure the full charge sequence, but in order to get precise charge, you need to release the button at the right moment to trigger it. If you're too early or too late, you don't get the 20% increase in days. You will want to learn the timing of this on your own, but a visual cheat code is that somewhere in the middle of her charge, her wings and weapons flash blue. If you release the button at this exact moment, you'll get the precise charge. The timing of the input is pretty lenient. You'll know you hit it when her wings turn into that transparent blue color during the attack. Now, if you learn the timing naturally, you can get something that I like to call the frame perfect precise charge. I don't think everyone's gonna call it that, but I call it that because it's literally frame perfect. This is essentially getting the precise charge effect on the actual startup frame of the move. Since everything is counted in frames, that means that her wings start glowing after the window opens for a precise charge. I don't think the game is at a point where this is needed, but I have noticed that during extremely short stun windows, being able to do this gives me those extra 3 seconds for damage compared to waiting for the wings to glow. That said, we can talk about her basics. Her level 1 charge attack, it doesn't look that impressive, at least from first glance. But this move has a handful of viable situations. Charge BA1 is basically a full screen Naruto storm for assist attack. It's great as a gap closer. It starts fast chain attacks, has great switch tech opportunities, and helps you trigger prodigy, right? Because that's the word, prodigious idol. There we go. Why is that so hard for me to say? It can help you trigger prodigious idol on demand. The real value comes from her level 2 and level 3 charge attacks though. That's where most of her daze and anomaly buildup is coming from. Thankfully, Nangong gets access to some ridiculous shortcuts. After using EX Special, you can skip straight to level 2. If you got at least 50 down beats, just hold basic attack and you go directly into it. On top of that, it automatically counts as a precise charge, so you don't even have to release the button on time. If you're sitting at 100 down beats, she'll just continue right into precise level 3. So her basic combo stream becomes EX Special, charge basic, into another charge basic, and you get the full sequence. This is what you'll hear everyone calling the EX charge combo. It's a huge burst of anomaly and daze buildup, and it only costs 40 energy, assuming you've got your down beats ready. You can apply this same concept after her chain attack and ultimate. Her chain attack already builds solid anomaly if you need a quick corruption trigger, but you can push it even further by holding basic and chaining into her charge attacks. Her ultimate, on the other hand, doesn't really build a lot of anomaly, but honestly, who cares about that when it deals a gazillion daze? This thing hits insanely hard for a stun ultimate, and you can still follow up with charge attacks right after. It also activates Ethereal Delusion Reprise, which is her Ether Veil. Similar to Suna and Arya, Ethereal Delusion gives your team 50 attack 30 seconds. If there's already one active, Nangong will override it with the new instance. This lines up really well with the full Angels of Delusion team, giving Suna more Cat's Gaze and Arya more Phantom Power. And finding a way to weave each of their Veil activations into the stun rotation will create scenarios where your resources are damn near infinite. Now here's where things get really flexible. Her EX Special, Chain Attack, and Ultimate do not reset her charge combo progression. So you can do something like, I don't know, level 2 charge into EX skill, straight to level 3. Or you can EX Special, skip into level 2, use your Ultimate, and then finish with level 3. Now if you've got all your meter available, you can do a full max meter burn combo like this. As long as your inputs are clean and continuous, the game just lets it happen. Kinda like an air combo in Marvel. I'll talk more about combos in a minute. Finally, we drop into her additional abilities. The first part requires either an Anomaly agent or a member of the Angels of Oblot. When her level 3 charge attack or ultimate hits, she applies Misstep, providing a huge debuff to her enemies. 30% stun damage multiplier and a 3-second freeze on their daze bar, almost identical to Lighter's own. So before triggering a stun, you always want to have 100 down beats ready for that level 3 charge, or use your ultimate beforehand. Now something that's really strange is this isn't like Lighter's stun timer pause. If she hits the enemy in the middle of that rainbow bar going down, it'll pause right there. There might be some specific rotations that reward you for using her 3rd charge basic in the middle of stun instead of at the beginning, but I didn't have enough time to take that to the lab. Once you're actually in the stun phase, her 2nd additional ability kicks in. Nangong increases all anomaly buildup rate against stun enemies by 30%, and chain attacks get an extra 30% on top of that, or a total of 60%. This makes it way easier for your anomaly units to ramp up, which means faster anomaly triggers and more overall damage, especially if you're playing around Disorder. They also decided to give her a free EX skill during stun windows that holds all the same properties as her normal EX. This is why you'll see a lot of high score runs inputting combos like Dance Prowess into EX skill into charge 1 in less than 2 seconds before quick swapping back onto their main DPS. Speaking of dance prowess, she gains a new resource called Dance Prowess, which you'll know is active once you see these two glowing dots next to her downbeat meter. This ability activates as soon as you stun the enemy and gives Nangong access to her own version of Lighter's Falcon Punch. It might actually be faster than his, to be honest, but the important part is that it triggers a reverse quick assist immediately. Understanding how to use this for your own team's playstyle is going to be crucial to giving you even more damaging routes, double chain attacks on the main DPS, and even filling up Nangong's anomaly meter so she can trigger more corruptions and disorders in the middle of stun. I also forgot to mention that each hit of Dance Prowess also triggers a polarity disorder from Nangong, so it's even more important that you time your button inputs. Because of that, let's jump into a brief combo section for Nangong. Her combo game is simple to grasp with a solid amount of room for growth. I'll try to break down some of the combos I'd consider her bread and butter, which, keep in mind, these are my go-to combos. They work in almost every situation and still give me that room to get into advanced territory if I need to. These are basically just to get you on the ground running and then be able to, I don't know, grow and learn and advance yourself from there. Each of those combos were listed in a way that I personally use and the situations given. Remember, this is an action RPG, and unlike other gacha games, Zenless requires players to be a lot more reactive to what's happening on the screen. Sometimes you aren't going to be able to pull off a max meter burn combo because the boss managed to iframe your startup frames to the actual move, or you missed the final hit of your third charged basic attack right before the stun. A good lesson to pick up learning is being able to adapt in the moment and recover fast. Something you don't have to worry about adapting at all, though, is her gear. Let's talk about it. At this point of the video, I consider it maybe the halfway point. I don't know. Nangong is one of those agents that I believe the calcs are a little more deceptive than they seem. This isn't me saying the calcs are wrong. I'm not saying that, okay? What I am saying is that in a practical use sense, I didn't feel a massive difference between premium W engines or free-to-play.
Serious?
Maybe a couple thousand points in Deadly Assault depending on the team, but that's honestly it. She's an incredible stun agent that functions as an anomaly sub DPS, and her engine options reflect that. Of course, Neon Fantasies is her best in slot. 90 anomaly proficiency out of the gate, a 30% permanent damage boost to the entire team, and then a conditional 60 more points of AP on top of that. It's cracked for her, but even more impactful for her team. There's a very obvious reason why anyone would say that her damage performance takes a massive hit without this engine. Does she lose a lot of value? In my experience, not really. There is definitely value lost, but I didn't notice this a tremendous amount in anything except my 65k kill runs or limiting myself to a 2-cost team. In those situations, Nangong's engine was the last thing on my mind that I needed for performance increase, because the premium DPS, their engine, or even the premium support was way more critical to the team's performance compared to her own SIG. That being said, the new event engine called the Simmering Pot performed functionally well during all of my tests. Her stun capabilities didn't take a massive hit thanks to the effects of the engine increasing her days and impact, while also giving a small damage boost to the entire team. The fact that it's free means it'll be a great alternative for players who can't afford the engine right now and won't feel like they're being left out. Nangong is strong enough on her own that you could give her a B rank engine and she'd still help clear the fight. Lastly, there are some other options like our usual go-to engines. Hellfire Gears, Steam Oven, Fossilized Core, and even the Restrain can all perform well. For now, if you aren't going for her engine and don't want to use the Simmering Pot, then just use whatever you have freely available. Out of all these options, Hellfire Gears was my favorite due to her getting a decent amount of energy regen and impact from it. But do what you gotta do. After engines, we have the drive disc. Right now, I think it's fun to mess around with a variety of builds, but Nangong doesn't really have a best in slot yet, and probably never will, due to the fact she's an incredibly versatile character that plays off the team. That goes for both her 2-piece and 4-piece sets, which should be a huge blessing for a lot of you. Phaethon's Melody is an amazing 4-piece set for her. The Anomaly Mastery boost is of course highly desired, and the large AP increase just for using an EX skill is going to help Nangong deliver the best personal damage she can. Most of you will have this built and is probably her best universal set across the board. Shining Arya is next on the list in terms of increasing her personal damage. The AP increase is smaller, but now she gets a 25% damage boost against stun enemies, which applies to all of her attacks. The stunning portion would normally be an issue, but given the fact she's now one of the fastest stunners in the game, that part isn't actually a problem. It is, however, only available during that specific condition compared to Phaethon's, which is basically active all the time. Freedom Blues is the third 4-piece set I had a lot of fun with and really enjoyed the niche case scenarios. Her personal damage suffers, but she's not really here for that. This build is for teams that aren't using her as the center focus for damage, but instead something to enable their DPS. The obvious choice is Miyabi, since Nangong building her corruptions faster is a direct performance boost to Miyabi, especially in mono ice team variants. But this also works in situations where you don't have her signature W engine, or when she's the only ether agent on the team and is paired with the Disorder DPS. Regarding 2-piece sets, you should be looking at 2-piece Phaethons all the time if you are using a different build. If you're running 4-piece Phaethons, then she has a lot of great options to pick from. Swing Jazz, Dawn's Bloom, Astral Voice, Chaos Jazz, Freedom Blues, Hormone Punk, the list goes on. For main stats, you're ideally looking for an AP4, ether damage, attack, or pin 5, and AM6. She gives herself so much impact that you just don't need it. AM6 is her absolute best option there. I believe ether damage is her most damaging option out of the 5th slot, but attack is great too. I wouldn't stress about it and just pick whatever you have the best substats for. Speaking of substats, this is also pretty straightforward. Anomaly proficiency and attack percent rolls should be your top priority. After that is a flat pin and attack, then it trickles down from there. Crit rolls are nice too, but I wouldn't put too much focus on that without mindscapes being involved. Speaking of which, you guys know the drill. None of you need these. F you, Zenna, okay? I saw you with the freaking M3 M3 Nangong. He got lucky, but anyway, in the event you're feeling frisky, then feel free, wink wink, to give me that M3 Nangong Yu instead. Jumping straight into these, M1 gives her an 18% all attribute red shred to the entire team and starts her off with her maximum downbeat. This gives faster stuns and overall helps the team more than herself. Her next most notable mindscape is technically M2, because why are we pulling for M6? M2 increases her vibrato to a bloom damage ratio by an additional 40% in total. Her stun damage multiplier increases by another 30%, and she gets another use of polarity disorder when the active character's chain attack hits an enemy suffering from an attribute anomaly. Since she's playing in majority anomaly teams, this is pretty much all the time. And finally, at the end of the guide, we can smash out some useful teams for Nangong Yu. Now, due to the fact that she's practically the best in slot for everything she's a part of, I'm not gonna list every team option because that's a lot. Instead, I'm gonna do two things. One, I'm actually going to take the time to make a teams guide video with what I would consider her best teams at this current moment in time, or maybe some of the more accessible teams that you guys can use, and then walk you through that step by step so you have a much better understanding of it from the builds and rotation or combos that I'm using. The second thing is that I'm going to give you guys 3 separate categories today: best in slot, most effective, and free to play. Nangong Yu is an outstanding stun agent that fits into a lot of unique teams. She truly feels like the Dialyn of Anomaly team comps because, man, Grace, Bernice, Yanagi, Piper, Miyabi, just by existing on the team, she's already enhancing all of these Anomaly agents to perform better than before. The only one I'd say is iffy was Vivian, and that's strictly because you don't have a proper way to consistently refresh Vivian's feather blooms when it matters during the fight. Most of you will find yourself playing the best in slot team though, featuring obviously Arya, Nangong, and Suna. This should be self-explanatory, but they were designed to work perfectly together. Everyone activates each other's passives and ether veils. Nangong's ability to stun fast, use free quick assist, pop off, or build a great corruption meter and trigger corruptions off field for some insane disorders gives Arya exactly what she wants from a damaging stun window. And honestly, do I really need to talk about Suna? Come on guys, it's Suna. Next up, we have the most effective, which I believe can technically be a number of teams, but I'll say that the core of the team is just Nangong Yu and Yuzuha. In this video's example, I'm using Miyabi as my main DPS. Yuzuha is, of course, an Astro level anomaly support for the entire team, but also comes with the added ability of a pick and choose playstyle. Thanks to her sugar candy ability, she's able to help either of your agents build their respective anomaly meter without diluting more damage. In most case scenarios, you're going to pass that buff to the main DPS. Her defensive capabilities, like Tanuki Cloak, help give you another form of complete control over the flow of the match. And depending on your DPS's ability to build their own anomaly meter, you can turn the team into a more consistent disorder comp by giving the buff to the following character. I want to see how this works with Haramasa though. Miyabi is Miyabi. She's had some hard matchups to deal with over the last few patches, especially the free-to-play Miyabis, but with Nangong, she's getting the best of both worlds. Fast, consistent stuns, quick assists that give her immediate access to double chain attacks, and a versatile way to clear Frostfire with the rest of the team. I even tried the standard mono ice comp with Sokaku and managed to push near 50k without being a mono ice assassin. I know for a fact that 65k kills are possible versus all of her freezable matchups, and the team is even stronger with Yuzuha. If you've been struggling against certain matchups with Miyabi, picking up Nangong is the absolute best play right now. Lastly would be my free-to-play options. I tested a number of these, but ultimately it came down to the point that it's impossible for me to predict what any given free-to-play player would have. One player could have Miyabi, no engine, and get Nangong. Another player could have only Grace, but their Grace is somehow M6 with an R2 fusion compiler. Both are possible for free-to-play. For that reason alone, I pushed myself to test with just Piper, Nangong, and Zhao without her engine, especially considering that Piper is a day 1 A-rank unit who hasn't been directly upgraded since then. Zhao handled herself fairly well on this team and a few others I tested, like with Grace. She's an awesome free agent everyone has access to, doesn't need her engine to provide good value to the team, and doesn't need a lot of attention when playing her on the field. This lets you push Nangong and Piper on field as much as possible, which is great for players who want to turn their standard anomaly playstyles into a semi-disorder comp. Now, I did try Lucy as a support in this team and even changed her build around in between runs. If you want more anomaly buildup on fire, then running her with an AM6 will get you about 1 burn per 4 assaults, give or take. If you want slightly faster stuns, then an impact 6 can make the cut, but with Nangong there, I found it the least impactful. No pun intended. Lucy works and is one of, if not the only way to activate Piper's additional ability, but from a purely free-to-play perspective where none of them have any S-rank engines, dude, they lack so much power, it's hard for me to recommend someone going through that struggle. At some point, to make your own life easier, you need to invest in the premium flavors for your favorite teams. So what's the final verdict? Is Nangong Yu worth it? Yeah, she is. I feel like that's obvious by now. Her kit might look like a mess on paper, but once you actually understand what's going on, the value is pretty obvious. She's not just filling a stun slot, she's bringing real Anomaly support on top of it, and that combination is what makes her stand out. You're getting strong, consistent stun windows, solid days output, and a kit that actively makes your Anomaly teams better. It's flexible, it's easy to apply once you get the flow down, and it fits into way more teams than you'd expect. At that point, it's not really a question of is she good, it's more about how you want to use her. Now that you've got the breakdown, you've got the game plan, I want you to go put it to use. Let me know what teams you're trying to fit her in, and if this helped make sense of everything, stick around and subscribe for more guides like this. Nangong Yu delivers a devastating performance with a 5 out of 5.